Trying to automate client messages using N8N, but stuck on connecting WhatsApp Business Cloud through the Meta API? Same here. Most tutorials skip the real issues. So in this video, I'm showing you the tips and tricks no one talks about. I will walk you step by step through the setup so you can start sending automated WhatsApp messages like a pro. Let's get started. A company that manages patients reached out to me for help with an automation. So this is the workflow that I drafted for them. They needed something that triggers automatically. So I'm going to add a scheduled node. Then they actually need to check in a data set, what are the patients that need an appointment reminder for that specific month or for that specific date. So the tool will automatically filter the patients that actually need to receive a message that day. And then the message will be sent through WhatsApp. The flow needs to go around so that it reaches all the patients within that day. And that's why I added certain nodes here so that I am careful about that in my workflow. So now I'm here in N8N. Let me show you first a small piece of the workflow without actually the WhatsApp, because the WhatsApp part is the one that will add a level of complexity. So I wanted to create a workflow that will work without a WhatsApp. So in that case, I added email node so that I know that I will be able to send the messages through email. So the first node is clicking, or the trigger is clicking here to test the flow. And then I added a Google Sheets node where the list of patients is located. In the case of this company, they do not have a CRM that allows them to send WhatsApp messages. So that's why creating an automation that allows them to do that without having to pay for an expensive CRM. So in this case, I'm basically reading the patient list, which is here. And for privacy purposes, the phone numbers are hidden and these patient names are fake. So this is basically the patient list. And this node, what it will do is will look at that patient list and it will filter the patients that actually need to be sent a message today. So every day, this node will look into the sheet and will just filter the patients that need to receive a message. So as you can see here, today is April 8, 2025. Then the next part of the node is this node here will take the data from the prior node and it will send them an appointment. It will take the patient name and it will take the patient email from that list and it will send an email based on what I wrote here to encourage them to schedule a control appointment. And after that, it will go back to the Google Sheet and it will basically say that based on the patient list, it will add the state contact tab, which means that we already sent the message. So for the people that are reviewing the patient list, they know that person already received the message. So this works great. And one of the benefits of N8N is that you don't necessarily need to add a loop here to look into every single patient. This workflow will do it that way, and it will look into every single patient without adding necessarily a loop visually. So now let's go into the next piece, which is adding the WhatsApp node. So here is the final workflow where you can see here, there is a WhatsApp node. If I zoom in here a little bit, don't worry about the length of the workflow. I'm going to tell you at the end what else did I add to this final workflow. But the most important thing is actually this WhatsApp Business Cloud, which is the one that it took me, I think, a day or two to figure out exactly how to connect the WhatsApp Business Cloud to the API. And there are a couple of other challenges that I found along the way that I wanted to tell you today. So the first thing that you need to do after you set up a WhatsApp node, bear in mind that there's a difference between a WhatsApp Business Cloud node and a WhatsApp Business Cloud trigger. And the setup is different. The one that I'm going to show you today is the node. So here, the first thing that you need to do is to set up a WhatsApp account and to link your WhatsApp account. So let's open up create new credentials. So here you have a lot of documentation. And actually, if you follow that documentation, it's pretty clear. So you can actually go through it step by step, but I'm going to show you what are the main challenges that the thing that you need to add is the access token and the business account ID. So there are two important initial steps that you need to do. The first thing is that you need to go to business.facebook.com and you need to create a business account. And what it means is simply that account in this website needs to be tied to your personal Facebook account. So if you don't have one, create first a personal Facebook account, and then you can actually create a business Facebook account. Once you are in this view, you can actually click here. And I know that my business Facebook account is in Spanish, but you can actually look for here where it says WhatsApp admin or manage WhatsApp. And then you can click here. This is the area where you are going to manage your WhatsApp messages. The second thing that you need to do is to go to developers.facebook.com. And this is the area where you're going to do the majority of the work. And here you need to create a developer account first that is linked to your business account that is called here Edge AI. Don't worry, Facebook is going to show you step by step what you need to do here. However, there are two important things that you need to know. One is that you need to have a proof of business. And what that means is different for every business. In my case, for example, I just needed to provide my website and the link to my website. So that was enough. But sometimes Meta asks for other documents and prove that business exists. And the second important thing is that you will need to have a privacy policy URL. So what I did is in my website, I created a privacy policy and I provided that link to Meta. Without those two requirements, you cannot use the Facebook or the Meta API. Those are very important. If you don't have that, then you will have to find other official providers from Meta that work with Meta and they are already connected to the API. But the drawback is that for those, you will have to pay a monthly fee. In the case of Meta, the cost of sending a message through the Meta API, it's 1 cent for utility messages, and for marketing messages is a little bit higher, but in any case is less than the fee that you have to pay to other providers. So now you will have to assess that based on the volume of messages that you are going to send. So those are the two main requirements. And once you have created the app, which in my case is called Edge AI, you can come here to configure the API. And here you actually just need to follow the steps that are highlighted here in order to connect with the WhatsApp API. One important thing here is that you are going to have a default or a test phone number that is a US phone number. These are the ones that you will use to set up WhatsApp API. But once you have set it up, the test one, you can actually create your own phone number. Just clicking here where it says add a new phone number and it will guide you through the step. That was actually quite simple to do. So basically, you just need to generate a token and it will appear here and you can just click copy. The other thing that you will need is this WhatsApp business number that you will have here as well. So if we go back to N8N, the token is pasted here and the business account ID will be pasted here. So those are the two main things that you need to do in order to connect N8N to the WhatsApp Business Cloud API. So now let me show you how to set up the WhatsApp node once you have connected to the WhatsApp API. So the first thing that you need to keep in mind here is that for the operations, you have different options: send template, and custom API call. One thing that I realized is that the WhatsApp Business API doesn't allow you to send any particular message that you want. You will always have to set it up as a template, especially if you are using your own phone number. If you are using the test phone number, for example, you want to use it as a bot with that number, then it is possible to send messages. But if you want to send message to multiple people, then you will have to use send template. If you change this to send, it won't actually work. I'm going to show you in a minute how do you create a template within the business platform from Facebook. But before I do that, one of the things that I needed to do for the node to pick up automatically the phone number from the patient list. So I basically include an expression here. And here is basically my template that I'm going to use. This is actually quite important. Let me actually show you in the business account how you actually create the template. And here, if you go to the business account where you manage your WhatsApp connection, here you will see a list of phone numbers that you can actually use. And in this case is the test phone number. And then here you have to click on manage templates. And here you will see a list of templates that you have available. But the most important thing is to create a template here. And this, again, it's useful when you want to send a message to multiple contacts within your organization. And you have different types of templates, marketing templates, if you want to send an ad, like you can see here, shop now, authentication template. This is the verified code if you want to send, or a utility template. This is basically useful when you send messages about an order or a pickup time, etc. So in the case of patients where I want to send a reminder, these will classify as a utility template. So then I click next. And here you basically need to give a name to that template and also the language of that template. So I will keep it in English. And then you can actually write what's the text that you want to go into the head of the message. And you can actually also click on the body. One important thing is that you can use a variable. And this is where I spend a lot of time figuring out how N8N works. If you want to provide a variable, for example, a patient name, the patient name will always change based on what I have in my patient list and the name of the patient that I want to send that message to. All the patients will receive the same message. The only thing that will change on that message is the name. So in that sense, I need to select if I want the variable to be a number or a name. Initially, I was selecting a name, but what I discovered, and also going through a lot of information on the internet, is that N8N at this point in time is not allowing you to give variable names. You need to select a number. So for example, here, if I want a variable within the body, I can just click add variable and it will just add a one. I can actually add as many variables as I want. And here I just input an example of what is the data within this variable. For example, a name. You can also send a link here. I haven't used that because I don't need it, but if you want to include a URL, you can, and that's it. Basically, Facebook will review that template and it will accept, but it is actually quite fast. It takes 5 minutes for Facebook to do that. Then if I go back to the WhatsApp flow in N8N, I include the template here. And if, for example, in my template, as I mentioned before, I want the variable to be the patient name. So in that case, I select type header because that's where my variable is located. It was not on the body. As you can see here, you can also select body or button or header. So your button can also be changing dynamically. And I select that as a type of text because you can also select image or date time. And you select from previous nodes the patient name. And that's basically how you set up Subnode. And you will see that it won't cause any issues once you send the message. Once you develop your workflow and you test it that the workflow works correctly without any errors, there's one more thing that you need to do on your WhatsApp node. So remember here that we have an access token. When you create an access token in the developer Facebook platform, that token is only available for 24 hours. But the way that you set up a more permanent token is through the business.facebook.com. And here, basically, you need to go to configuration and you have an option here that says users of your system. And here you actually need to add your N8N bot as a new user that will have control. So I created an N8N bot. First, you need to give it what are the assets that this bot will control. You give it admin access, and then you generate a token. And this token will be valid forever, so it won't expire ever, or for 60 days. So you choose. In my case, I chose for 60 days. Then you actually copy that token and you go back and you input that token here. If you don't do that, the previous token will expire every 24 hours. Now, let me show you a little bit of other things that I added for this node that in my case were important. I basically wanted to add some nodes where I capture errors. So for example, if on that day I didn't have any patients to send a message, it will give me an error because WhatsApp cannot handle patients that are null. So in that case, I basically added an if node that will check if there is a patient. And if not, it will basically give me in the executions sheet, if that day we didn't have message, it will give me a 0 or a null here in one of the days. But if I did have a patient, it will check if I have a phone number. Otherwise, it will also give me an error. So if the patient didn't have a phone number, for example, here, I will see a message here in error that says that patient doesn't have a phone number. One thing that I also found out is that if the number is wrong, WhatsApp still will process it and won't give you an error message. So that's something that is important to check. Then I added a code here to actually count how many patients go through the node so that I can count how many messages were sent. And I can add that to my execution sheet. And you can actually copy this code, or you can ask ChatGPT to generate your code. It's actually quite simple. And then it will update the sheet with the state, and it will say the message was sent, and it will also update the execution sheet, and it will tell me how many messages were sent that day. So let's give it a test. Here I have one patient, one Fernando Perez, that needs to receive a message today. So let's trigger and test it. You can see it's executing, it's quite fast. And you will see it that in my phone, I also received the message. There are no errors. And if I look at the patient list again, it says message sent, and the executions, it says one message sent today. So this is how it works. If this walkthrough helped you to get WhatsApp working with N8N, make sure to subscribe for more no-fluff automation tutorials like this one. And if you need help setting up automations for your business, feel free to reach out. My email is in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.